Welcome to Glory Bee Straight from the Hive podcast. I'm Alan Transky, president of Glory Bee, and I am super excited to welcome our guest, Katie Coman, executive director of Save the Bee. Katie, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh man, this is going to be a great talk. Can't wait to hear what you have to share with us today. So we'll have some fun with a few questions and, we'll see what we discover along the way. But let's just start out with your background a little bit in regards to Save the Bee and beekeeping. How did you get connected to beekeeping, and then how did you get connected to Save the Bee?
So my husband and I were hobby beekeepers for many years, and soon to be starting up our hives again. Now that we're living in beautiful Eugene, Oregon. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I didn't know much about bees before I started beekeeping. And I think, one of my favorite things about beekeeping, in particular with this job, is talking to the old beekeepers that have been beekeeping for many years, and they say they still don't know anything about bees. And I think that's the magic of bees, is that you learn something new every year when you're a beekeeper. So I'm looking forward to restarting that hands-on learning process.
Awesome.
So I have a deep nonprofit experience. I've worked in many areas of nonprofit, and I really love bees. And this was looking to move out of. I had spent many years working in health and disease, particularly chronic disease, and I was looking to do work in an area that's one of my passions, which is bees and the environment. And now it's honey from working. Yeah. Now that I've gotten to try all different kinds of honey. So I'm really happy to be here and excited.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. Well, we're going to play off that honey comment and say one of my favorite questions I got to ask almost all my guests is, what's your favorite type of honey?
Probably blackberry, showing my Pacific Northwest roots. So yes. Probably I love blackberry, but I also like orange blossom too. I like how light it is.
Yes, I love both of those, are fantastic and fan favorites, for both of those reasons. So
a funny story. I had given a jar of Save the Bee honey to one of my good friends, and she had never had natural good honey that doesn't come out of one of those squeeze packages. And she said, I cannot believe how good this honey is. I said, yeah, that's what honey's meant to taste like.
I know, it's amazing. I think I, of course, have grown up around honey, but I've heard a lot of those comments over the years. But, what was really fascinating in traveling to Europe is just how many different varietals of honey that they display on the store shelves. And of course, they treat the honey very gently and sort of that raw manner where they don't heat it too hot. And the flavors are just so pronounced. It's fantastic. I love that. Well, for our audience who may not know really what Save the Bee is, before we dive into some other questions, can you give us a brief introduction to what is Save the Bee?
So Save the Bee is a nonprofit organization working to help honeybees and beekeepers. We have 3 areas that we focus in, and the organization was founded about 10 years ago in response to colony collapse that was happening with bees, and we couldn't figure out why. And in the subsequent years and some of the research that's been done, there's been 3 areas that really we narrowed down 3 broad areas of what's going on with bees, although I want to say there's a lot to learn in these areas. The 3 areas that are affecting bees are poor nutrition. So bees are losing their habitat from all kinds of things, climate change, human encroachment, something called monocropping, where bees are put out to pollinate certain crops, and it would be like us eating hamburgers for 3 weeks straight. Doesn't provide them with the nutrition like bees are a lot like us. They need varied diets. So monocropping is one of the issues. The second area that's affecting bees are pesticides, certain types of pesticides that are sprayed on crops and soaked in seeds and soaked in the ground. And these affect bees. If they don't kill them outright, they can affect bees by causing them to be deformed, causing them to be weak. And so the first two pieces can contribute to the last issue with bees, which is parasites. So bees,
Hmm.
there's one particular parasite called the varroa mite. And, Mother Nature, I just think is so amazing because this mite exists only in hives, doesn't
Wow.
exist anywhere in the world. And um, if you imagine that I'm the size of a bee, an adult bee, varroa mite would be, I don't know if you can see this in the screen, but the varroa mite would be about this big on me.
Okay,
So
so
it's
pretty
quite a big.
big, almost like a kitchen dinner plate or something
Yes,
like
like
that.
wearing
Yeah,
a
okay.
dinner plate, but
Yeah,
it's got
okay. Wow.
legs and
That's
it's got the
huge.
queue. So it's huge. And also varroa mites feed off of the baby varroa mites feed off of the baby bees,
Okay.
the bee larva. And then there's some other bacterial issues with bees. One of them, which is really exciting, not the bacteria, but of course uh, a vaccine just came out for a bacterial disease called American foul brood. And the science behind this is super cool. They put the vaccine into the royal jelly, and royal jelly is what you feed the queens to make them queens. So the
Uh-huh.
queen eats the royal jelly, and it goes into her reproductive system and into the eggs, and basically inoculates the eggs from American foul brood. Now, when a
Wow.
American foul brood is really virulent. It's a bacteria, as I mentioned. It's really virulent. And prior to this vaccine, the surefire treatment for American foul brood has been to burn not only the hives, but the bees and all the equipment associated with it. So you can see
Hmm.
how contagious this disease is.
Yeah, extremely.
So we've got these three areas: poor nutrition, pesticide issue, and parasites that all combine and work together to either kill bees outright or to make them weak and not to be able to do their job, which is pollination and do the
Right.
work that they need to do to stay alive. So Save the Bee works in we have three project areas. The first one
Hmm.
is we're working on building pollinator habitat. And we've set this big goal for ourselves to plant 1 million square feet of pollinator habitat in and around agricultural areas. So we're pretty excited about
Wow,
that.
that's awesome.
Yes. And
Fantastic.
I always say pollinator habitat is a 2 for 1. So if you plant pollinator habitat for bees, you also plant it for the native pollinators too, because they love the same thing. So for
That's great.
bumblebees and hummingbirds and moths and butterflies. So working to plant lots and lots of square feet of pollinator habitat. The second area is we're working to accelerate research into honeybee health, and we work with several universities around the Pacific Northwest area, and we've done some work beyond. We do a lot of work with Oregon State University and their bee lab, and their bee lab is one of the best bee labs in the country. We work very closely with them, and their work in the bee lab has helped us discover some of these parasite issues and some of these pesticide issues, as well as sort of the nutritional issues, what bees like to eat, what makes them healthy. So
Wow, sounds like a great partnership. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
it's a great partnership. And then the third piece that we're working on that I'm really excited about, and we're in the beginning stages, is we are inspiring the next generation of beekeeper. And so beekeeping. So when you talk to commercial beekeepers, if they haven't inherited their farm from their parents, from their family,
Hmm.
they typically start out as backyard beekeepers, just like my husband and I. And you get the bug, literally, and
Right.
then you begin to build your hives and continue on down the road into commercial beekeeping. And so we're starting at both ends of this spectrum. So we want to bring people in the beginning, kids, organic farmers, people who backyard farmers, that kind of thing, to understand pollinators, understand the magic of bees, and get them hooked, because there's all kind of bee facts. If we want to play bee fact bingo, we could do that later, but there's all kinds of great bee facts.
Sounds fun.
They're just amazing creatures, and get them hooked, get a certain percentage beekeeping, and then kind of continue along the spectrum to get a certain amount of people to become commercial beekeepers. And the reason for that is The US produces only 25% of the honey that we eat, so we certainly
Mm.
need commercial beekeepers, as well as the number of commercial beekeepers in the US has been cut in half since World War II. So
Wow.
more beekeepers, the better. More commercial beekeepers, better. Certainly, the more beekeepers in general, the more people who love bees, the
Hmm.
better. And so, on the other end of the spectrum, in the commercial beekeeping side, we're working on getting typically underrepresented groups into commercial beekeeping.
Uh-huh.
And commercial beekeeping has typically been white, male, much like farming, middle age. And so
Uh-huh.
we're working to bring in women and people of color into this industry. Now,
Love it.
now beekeeping itself can be a tool for moving people out of poverty. Now, women who have a you don't need a college degree to be a beekeeper, a commercial
Hmm.
beekeeper. Women who don't have college degrees tend to make on average about $39,000 a year. Commercial
Okay.
beekeepers, on the other hand, make an average of about $50,000 a year. So you can begin to see, especially women, often women are the sole caretakers of children. You can begin to see that for women who have interests, moving them into commercial beekeeping moves them away from the poverty line. And
Yeah.
women, the word on the street is that women are better beekeepers, and there's lots of work in beekeeping. You don't necessarily have to be the person hauling the hive around. You can raise queens, which women are great at doing, raising
Hmm.
things. And so we're looking to bring more women into commercial beekeeping and people of color by giving scholarships to, we're partnering with Oregon State University, giving scholarships to their master beekeeping course, as well as providing these people with resources and connections to the industry. Eventually, what I'd like to do is develop much like the traditional trades like plumbing and electrical, where you become a journey person, an apprentice, and a master plumber. I'd like to see beekeeping follow that same pathway, because right now it's just sort of hit and miss, like kind of who you know. The amazing
Yeah.
thing about watching anybody become a beekeeper is how much is the sort of discovery and the love for it and the passion for it,
Hmm.
and that's what their own sort of passion is what propels them into the commercial beekeeping world. But we love to formalize that process,
I
and
love it.
that
I mean,
is Save the Bee.
that is fantastic. There is a lot of important things happening, and that's fantastic. Save the Bee has been around for 10 years. And I know, Katie, you recently joined to lead the organization for the next 10 years. What has Glory Bee's impact to Save the Bee as a partner been in the first 10 years?
Originally, Save the Bee was founded in response to this colony collapse issue that I mentioned earlier, where it was
Hmm.
losing, like it was almost like an alien came down and just started taking bees. It was like, what happened to them? Where did they go? And so it was
Yeah,
kind
they're
of like,
disappearing.
yeah, it was kind of like, mayday, mayday, what do we do? What's going on with these? And as Glory Bee, along with Save the Bee, has funded some of the answers to these questions, certainly through OSU, certainly through the work on the ground, by funding beekeepers, by funding kids, funding beekeeping projects in different parts of the world, um, has really begun to help crack this nut of what's going on with the bees. So, as I mentioned, the three things: pesticides, poor nutrition, and parasites. We know that these are the three areas, and as I said, there's a lot to learn within these areas.
Hmm.
But now, Glory Bee and Save the Bee are moving to address the root causes of these issues. So we could have a robust bee colony, we could have robust bee population, robust beekeeping industry, and I
Hmm.
think that's really exciting when you're in a position where you're moving out of crisis mode and moving into addressing the root causes, which makes really lasting change.
That's fantastic. Yeah, thanks for that, Katie. So, as you look to 2023, which we're already in, what are the top goals for Save the Bee in 2023?
So overall, we're just wrapping up a 3-year strategic plan, so that's pretty exciting, and developing, getting the house built for to be not well, we are an official nonprofit, so getting all of those elements set up. I'm really particularly excited about our role in sort of the bee ecosystem with other bee organizations, and providing kind of the missing link, which is bringing sustainably minded companies and individuals to bear on this issue. And so that's what
Hmm.
I'm excited about.
Yeah, that sounds great. I've got just one or two more questions. Certainly got a really important one to end with, but as you look a little bit further out into the future, what are you excited about in regards to Save the Bee, or what are you hopeful for?
What am I hopeful for? Gosh, so many things. I'm really excited about creating a self-sustaining organization. That's a lot of fun for me. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so creating an organization that sustains itself. I'm really excited about the hands-on work that we do and will continue to
Hmm.
do, because not only does it help honeybees, but it helps humans also. And
Hmm.
bees, by looking sort of at the micro, you can help the macro. So let's take pollinator habitat. When you plant pollinator habitat, yeah, it helps the honeybees. Yeah, it helps the other pollinators, but it also helps the soil. It helps the
Hmm.
animals. It helps the ag around. And so which all in turn roll up to help some of these major issues that are facing humanity. Number one being climate change.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's a whole um, kind of regeneration of an ecosystem, right? And so
Exactly, which is
that's
amazing.
super inspiring.
And what's amazing is how quickly it happens. How quickly,
Yeah,
you plant some flowers and here they come. Here come the bees and the butterflies and
here
the
they come.
birds.
Yeah, you stop spraying and here they
Yeah,
come,
here they
right? All
come.
those
And
different things. Yeah,
it's so satisfying to see. And plus, flowers are pretty.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And we all like to eat healthy food,
We
right?
do.
So
We do.
we always feel better when we're eating healthy and diverse diets. So, okay, well, this is such a huge topic, huge area. It impacts all of us, whether we know it or not. How do people get involved, whether it's a business or just us as individuals? How do we get involved with Save the Bee?
The best way to get involved is go to savethebee.org and drop us an email if you'd like to volunteer or plant a pollinator garden or get involved in that way. Of course, one of the best ways to get involved is to donate money to Save the Bee. Eat donations as little as $5 help us, and we appreciate any donations that we get.
Fantastic. Well, you've heard it here on Straight from the Hive. We all need to rally together to save the bee. So thanks, Katie, for
Thank
joining me
you.
again on Straight from the Hive. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.